Welcome back everyone. Today I want to review the movie Straight Outta Compton. Well, not really. Normally when I do these movie reviews, I go through scene by scene, spoiling the movie for all who never seen it. But this time I want to try something a little different. Instead of spoiling, even though they'll still be spoilers, I'm going to highlight scenes that were very real and very not so real. So without further ado, this is Fact and Fiction Straight Outta Compton edition. Before we begin, if you want to see music bios or more good videos like this, hit the subscribe button. Also, I've started a Patreon account. On here you get more copyrighted material and they'll be uploaded 48 hours prior to YouTube. If you want to support or visit, link is in the description. And without further ado, on to our feature presentation. How F the Police Came to Be. False. In this scene, we are shown NWA making their most important album, Straight Outta Compton. During this, Dre is having a conflict with his baby mother, and after this, the rest of the group and his brother Tyreek go outside to help him. And that's when a black and a white cop come in to harass the men, especially the black cop. After the harassment campaign, Q compromised lyrics that will end up being F the Police. In reality, it was Dre being arrested that sparked the idea of the song, and let me repeat, the song was only meant to be an idea. Q will come up with some lyrics sometime afterwards though. The FBI threatening NWA. Absolutely true. In this scene, Jerry Heller and NWA receive a letter of disapproval of F the Police by the FBI. Eazy-E looked at this as a gift and it'll eventually end up being a curse, as they should take it to the press in order to give the group publicity. In 1989 in Detroit, the police barred the group from performing the song, threatening arrest if they performed. They performed it anyway and was arrested. The group also used that moment to give them more publicity and shine a light of freedom of speech in gangster rap. How Cube left NWA. True and false. Cube started to grow suspicious on the lavish lifestyle Eazy and Jerry are living. When Cube finally confronts Jerry about the contract, he offers him $75,000 if he signs the official contract, but Cube felt like the money was his anyway for his works on Straight Outta Compton and Eazy-E's solo album. Cube will wind up leaving NWA due to Jerry's shady financial dealings, but according to some sources, Jerry Heller in particular, Cube was actually voted out of NWA because the members were fed up with Cube complaining about the money. Cube wrecking Brian's office. True to an extent. Cube is demanding a higher advance for his Lethal Injection album, but Brian's holding him back on payments. After not getting his money, Cube comes in with bat in hand to wreck his office. In reality, Cube did do this. However, Brian himself wasn't in the office as he was allegedly on the throne when it happened. But Cube was able to get his money and O'Shea Jr. didn't have to struggle. Eazy-E wanting to kill Suge Knight. True, according to Jerry Heller. After Dr. Dre leaves Ruthless, it in all essence ended NWA. While Dre was laying groundwork on Death Row, he was still contractually bounded to Ruthless, so Suge decided to help with that. He confronts Eazy, demanding him to release Dre, the DOC, and Michelle A from Ruthless. When Eazy refuses, Suge's henchmen give him a beating he never forget. After this, E confronts this with Jerry and tells him that he needs to take Suge off the chessboard.
I gotta kill this night. I just came here to let you know, because I get a little thick. I need to stay protected.
What the movie didn't mention was that Suge allegedly threatened Eazy-E's mother by telling him that he got the drop on her address. Long story short, they ended up reaching a settlement with Dre, leaving Ruthless, but with E owning most of what Dre puts out. Eazy-E's financial woes. False. In the beginning of the third act, it is shown that Eazy was downgrading houses after Ruthless was in decline. This was false because E was still doing well for himself. Sure, the money wasn't the same, but he still had 2 high-selling EPs in 1992 and 1993, and don't forget, he owned a percentage of Dre's work. Plus, there was never any news article regarding Eazy-E's financial decline. Eazy-E wanting to reunite NWA. True, but mostly false. Now, the part that was true was Eazy-E making peace with Cube in New York, and E keep discussing getting the group back together with Dre so they could finish what they started. And even Jerry Heller getting fired by Eazy-E was true. But the part that was false was the phone call from Dre, because Dre was incarcerated in 1994 due to a battery conviction, and it'll be here where Dre found out Eazy-E was having AIDS. And speaking of Eazy-E's health decline, how Eazy-E got AIDS, disputed. As we all know, Eazy-E tested positive for HIV and later full-blown AIDS. The doctor said that he possibly got it from his history of unprotected sex, fathering multiple kids with different women. His girlfriend at the time, Tamika, tested negative. Now, I've heard many theories that Suge injected him with the disease, calling it the slow death, and he ended up chatting about it in an interview.
Somebody with AIDS,
yeah,
and then they shoot you with it.
Oh,
so
well, that seems bad.
That's a slow death.
Yeah, yeah.
An Eazy-E thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, no. Okay.
Now, we'll never truly find out what happened to Eazy-E, but what we all know is that his time went out way too soon. Dr. Dre leaving Death Row. Mostly true. The final scene fast forwards 1 year after Eazy-E's death, where Dre tells Suge that he's leaving Death Row on his own terms, with Suge keeping everything. It is true, Dre left Death Row without a scratch, but the reason was more financial and feeling like Suge was taking Death Row to a dark and violent direction. Dre wanted no part of it, said the guy who slapped D Barnes. Now for the next phase, I want to highlight a few things Straight Outta Compton left off. MC Ren's arc. In the movie, I could pretty much count on one hand how many lines MC Ren had. Sure, the most notable members are Cube, Eazy-E, and Dr. Dre, but Ren's contributions shouldn't go under the rug. Yes, he did not have the same career as the previous mention, but Ren deserves his flowers. And let me also mention that I wish I would have seen them recreate some of their most iconic videos for Straight Outta Compton and Express Yourself. Contributions from other Ruthless artists. I get it. This movie want to solely focus on NWA, it's their biopic, but being part of the Ruthless brand, I think some artists didn't get their shine. The only one that really got screen time was the DOC, who was the writer of the group, but he had a gold album called No One Can Do It Better, and songs like The Formula and It's Funky Enough are definitely highlights in his catalog. Another act that deserves mention was JJ Fad, best known for the song Supersonic, and they were one of the first female rappers nominated for a Grammy. And finally, Michelle A. She had a top 10 single, gold record, and was dubbed the first lady of Ruthless. Fortunately, she was able to get a movie of her own, which shows Dre's D-Barn tendencies. They briefly mentioned Bone Thugs too, but it was more of a footnote than anything. Dr. Dre making the Chronic. Now this is something I wanted to see more of than it being blatantly left off. If you watch the director's cut, we know how the album got its name, then it quickly cuts to Dre creating Nothing But a G Thing. But that's all we get. The Chronic is one of the most iconic hip-hop albums. Now let me take that back. It is one of the most iconic albums of all time, and I would love to see some of the deep cuts get love. I probably could say the same for N-Words for Life, but during that time, NWA was hanging on by duct tape and string, and that album featured Dr. Dre's finest productions. Anyway, I just wish we could have got more from both albums. And speaking of which, Dr. Dre vs. Eazy-E. This movie barely touched on Dr. Dre vs. Eazy-E beef, but I'll give you a brief backstory. After Dr. Dre was able to leave Ruthless for Death Row, he accused Eazy of being a yes man for Jerry Heller, who's the real villain of this whole story. The Dre Day was the main diss track that took aim at him, but also sent shots to Tim Dog and Uncle Luke. But Eazy-E would emerge victorious in his beef because he did a whole EP on dissing Dre called It's On, best known for the song Real Compton City G's. There he calls Dr. Dre a wannabe gangsta, but we is reminded that he's still getting paid regardless of what Dre puts out as part of Dre's exit settlement.
Dre Day, only Mac, Eazy Day.
Just imagine getting paid to be dissed. Gotta be the life. And that will conclude this very different review. I already expressed my thoughts on the film, and I think it's a top 10 biopic of all time. Should have won an Oscar, but that was wishful thinking. And I know most of you have already seen this movie, but revisit it, and it's an easy recommend. And that concludes my Straight Outta Compton fact and fiction review. Tell me what y'all think in the comments below. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.